Hey there, welcome to SharkCast, part of podcast dedicated to the greatest sporting club in the history of the world, the mighty Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. My name is Sam Shinazzi. I am an OG from 2015, and this is SharkCast brought to you by Dyson Logistics, the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking, and Jason Hawes at Cripps & Cripps Real Estate. And we're doing a very special episode here with our good friend Dan Nichols from the FINS and Rugby League Outlaws programs. And we're here basically to sprout, promote, tell you all to go their way. If you haven't already, I know a bunch of you have. Dan and Terry have done an episode about who they think are the top 10 prospects coming through the ranks at the Sharks. We're talking kids. We're not talking sort of necessarily cup players, or there are a few there. You'll get the gist of it as we go along. But Dan, how are you going, my friend?
Mate, I'm doing amazing, thank you. Lovely Monday afternoon as we look out into beautiful Bondi. How about your fine self, Sam?
Thankfully not in Bondi, although all love to our friends in Bondi. But I shouldn't say thankfully. I'm such a heel. I'm good. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. I know you're a busy lad. But yeah, I was super happy to watch what you've done with the latest episode on Rugby League Outlaws. And you did give me a heads up about it a little while ago, and we back and forth a little bit on some things. Obviously, it's your and Terry's top 10. But you did seek out an opinion, which I gave, and I think a few other people would have as well along the way. But a really nice list of young players coming through. So first of all, let's just talk about the idea and why you did it.
We sort of become bored in the off season. So this was something I planned a long time ago, probably around 3, 4, 5, because we've been speaking about the talents coming through, you know, the Felix Fartillis, the Michael Gabriels, etc. We'll discuss that more later. And I thought I need a top 10 because, one, I want to be able to point to it for my own reference, and two, in a couple of years, you want to be able to go back and sort of see who went through and who didn't. Because how many times have you heard players, agents come out and say, hey, he's the next big thing, he's the next Sonny Bill, he's the next, Cooper Cronk. You got Mole, just to pick one, on Facebook. Everyone's the next superstar. Weird zero tackle. My good mate Ethan, who runs the shop half the time, is always saying he's the best schoolboy this, he's the best this, best this. Be interesting to see how many of those become first grade talents. So I had a little bit to do to that. I wanted to branch out a little bit from the weekly episodic stuff we're doing. Just try something. The feedback's been extremely positive, so thank you to anyone who's passed. So good, bad, and indifferent. It's all good fun, but mainly it was just I wanted to watch a whole lot of highlights of our future stars and get excited for next year and beyond.
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to at all levels of the club. The other thing that you guys have done really well, I think it was more of a Terry thing, was you had a bit of an in-depth look at Craig Fitzgibbon and his tenure at the club so far, and I was really happy you did that because it cemented everything that I believe currently, and obviously my beliefs can change, but at the moment, we're in great hands, and you guys actually said why, and you go through numbers and figures. So definitely recommend you go listen to that episode on the Fins Up side of things. But if you go to Rugby League Outlaws, you will get a 15, 16-minute video where you guys have put together some really tasty clips. You've done some beautiful audio over the top of it. And this episode, what you and I are doing now, is nothing at all like what you have done. So we want you to go seek out the episode on Rugby League Outlaws YouTube channel, and you'll get the actual product. We're just talking about it, and we're steering you that way. That was something I did. Dan did not ask me to do this. I wanted to do it because I was so impressed and because you guys are my buddies. Now, we'll go through the list. We're not going to sort of rehash the episode that you did, so we want everyone to go watch that. But at number 10, we can reveal you had Liam Challoner. What can you tell us about Liam?
So there was a bit of conjecture here. His cousin Alex, who we, full disclosure, thought were brothers, couldn't find anything to say, and I reached out to a family member who finally got back to me and mentioned their cousins after we had published. Good young halfback, young talent, heaps of rep footy under his belt. At this sort of age in SG Ball, Harold Matts, it's a shit shoot. Like you don't know who's going to make it, who's going to not. So I went Liam over his cousin and Tom Dello, who we've got a bit of grief for leaving off, purely because the highlights are good and they made for a better product, if I'm blowing the secret behind it. whereas Dello had impressive hit-ups, Challenor had some try assists and some tries and some line breaks to put. It was easier to research because you don't have to go and watch 4 hours of SG Ball. You can just look for the highlights, which is what I did.
Just on that, Dan, like, I'm happy for people to give you a bit of stick about whatever, and obviously happy for people to say this guy should have been in your list. Like, that's what it's all about. But no one can go any more than that. Like, you guys put a list together. That's the list. The list speaks for itself.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that we're sitting here and in the groups and in group chats talking about other players that could have made the list. It's when you're looking for a 10th rather than, geez, I've got 14 here. Or we got it down to a solid 12, and we sort of just went the way we did because of the highlight section of it. But, I mean, this kid, I don't know if he plays SG Ball. I mean, Jersey Flag next year. I don't know if he's old enough, but he's the next one coming through because you'll see Pollard and Taj Ford go up to New South Wales Cup, and you got to get the next one through. So it was kind of hedging my bets a little bit. Plus, when in doubt, you go the halfback, mate.
You do. Now, at number 9, you had a guy I've had my eye on for a long time, as many others have. He's one of the more high-profile juniors that we have, and that is centre Nikora Williams. And he has done great things at rep level. He's done great things for us as a club, and he's been signed to a pretty good deal as well. So what made you put Nikora Williams at number 9?
Everything you just said. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't have known who he was before the schoolboys game a couple of years ago against PNG, where he scored the match tie. Unfortunately, missed the kick, but he was the best on ground up until that point. And that really, one thing hearing it, and it's another thing seeing it. This year he came up to Jersey Flag and was at times breathtaking. He's still young, still play level down, which I believe is Matt. I always get that in SG Ball mixed up, so excuse me if I do that repeatedly. But he can should we define what the grades are for the listeners who don't maybe follow at that level that you and I and many other listeners do? Do you want to just define the age and that kind of thing? Absolutely. So obviously you got first grade, and New South Wales Cup is reserve grade. Jersey Flag is under 21s or under 22s, I believe. They change it every couple of years. And then it's either Harold Matts or SG Ball.
I think it's SG, then Harold Matts. Yeah.
And Matts is 19s and 17s. So we're still talking about relative kids here when we mention players. So there's going to be people that take this as, why isn't Nikora Williams named in round 1? So you can still play, the under 19s. He and Hawes' centre partner, Preston Leone Setu, were 9 and 8 rather, and I gave it to Leone Setu purely because he scored the match winner for Queensland in the under 20s Origin against Nikora Williams early in the year.
Yeah.
They were both really, really good. That was literally the only reason I had one higher than the other.
And they were opposing each other, correct?
They were. It was incredible.
Yeah, that
was
one
fun. Of those weird motions. We almost had it this past weekend when we would have had Katoa versus Ronaldo, but an ACL robbed us of that. But a great moment, and he plays on the right-hand side, Nikora Williams, and lit it up.
You know what's great about what you just said, and we've spoken about it in the past few weeks, is that one day, if we live in a just world, we're going to go from Nikora to Nikora.
We are. It's the most shark name ever. Like, honestly, Nikora Williams. He's just meant for big things at the clubs.
So you mentioned Setu at 8. He's really good. He did light it up in that game, but he's done a lot more as well. He's got a great step on him, powerful runner. What else can you tell us about him?
He's quick. I think it's fair to say we lack a bit of speed up top. I don't think we lack speed coming through the ranks. He's really quick. Yeah, you're right about the step. He scored a mountain of tries. Again, he came up from Mats or SG Ball again. Google it. One's 117s, 119. Played a bit of Jersey Flag and was exceptional. We were getting blown off the park against Penrith in that prelim, and the two centres just went El Chopo and almost got us back in the game.
Yeah, that was something. And we should point out, just for the third time maybe in this episode, that if you go watch Dan and Terry's episode, you'll see vision of, it's pretty much all vision, the episode, and you do a nice intro, but it's basically vision with you guys talking over the top. And I believe my part-time colleague Adam AJ Luke Antonio helped us out with the vision.
Absolutely. So I just sent him what clips I needed, and he clipped them all up because he's a lot younger and therefore better at technology than me. And shout out to our good mates at Bar TV Sports, who were very, very gracious in letting us use the footage, which I found was exceptional. What we're going to do is, after this sort of settles in, we'll re-upload the edition minus our voices. So if you want to go back and watch the highlights with the sound on, that'll be coming probably early to late next week. We're hoping it does 1 million hits, and then we can get 500,000 more on the footage. It's good stuff.
Nice. Now, at 7, you had someone who our club fans would have seen if they got to the games a little bit early for probably half the season, maybe. And that was Taj Ford, who plays a few different positions.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started fullback for the New South Wales Cup. Unfortunately, suffered an injury, and it probably was the difference in us falling short to Canberra in the first weekend for the Jets. But started the year at 5'8" for the Baby Sharks, the Jersey Flag team. Was really good and stopped getting picked. And I was like, oh, what's going on? It's because he was getting ready for a Newtown debut, which I thought he did exceptionally well. I thought he was playing out of position, but turns out he has a lot of fullback in his junior grades. Looked exceptional, kept Newtown from falling down as we probably should have when Liam Myson got injured. Just exceptional. Another who could have played Jersey Flag, obviously, because he started the season and played up. So I look forward to him getting a full season at New South Wales Cup under his belt. I think he's probably third in line for a fullback role at Cronulla, fourth if we re-sign Hiroti as expected. So definitely one to watch.
And he got on the field for at least a quarter, I think, in the trial against the Warriors at Shark Stadium this year as well.
Yes, him Pollard. I think played in the halves, because I remember Riley wanted the match-winning field goal, and the barrel went the wrong way, as Sharks hookers do at Shark Park. But pretty impressive playing against grown men. You got to, again, I'm going to keep stressing, these guys are kids, so playing up, very impressive.
Yeah, so a lot of them are signed long-term deals, and that means that the club believes in them and they don't want anyone else grabbing them. So it really is the best of the best here. Now, I know as of at least the start of last season, the coaching staff had big raps on this kid, and I'm sure it's only grown with the season he had, and that is your 6th-ranked young Shark in Dylan Coutts.
Really impressive. He played a lot of New South Wales Cup this year, like almost every game. Another who could have played flag, and I think he might have gone back to the finals. But he scored a double on debut for Newtown. It's all in the video. Go double check. Yep. He's got Nakora Williams written all over him. Runs the same lines. Obviously trains with him, so would literally run the same lines. He was running off a rookie halfback in Wiley Pollard most of the season, or 5'8" as dictated. But this kid, he's got a lot of growing to do. He's quick. He's got good footwork. I know it's all the cliches, but it's exactly what you want in a second row.
Now, is he the sort of guy that could play middle at some point, do you think?
Yeah, he's probably a little bit small at the moment. But again, he's a flag player playing New South Wales Cup. Next year, we'll know a lot because he's proper Cup age. Obviously, it's open, but he's where he should be. I think 3 or 4 kilos of muscle in the off-season, and you're going to see that. He might be a bit quick to waste in a middle spot at the moment, but obviously with size comes a bit more to do in the body. But it's definitely something I could see coming. He's got a T. Wilton feel about it. He looks the same as T did at that age too. And obviously Wilton's a lot bigger now, so that's the way I think it'll project as well.
Now, speaking of awesome middles, cult figure already, the flowing locks in the wind, the whole business, and that is lock forward Sam McCulloch. He's had another bumper year. Super solid player. Like when I watch Sam play, I don't necessarily see like back page headline man of the match kind of stuff, but I see a very, very good, consistent lock forward.
Oh, absolutely. He's in the Cam McInnes mould in that he just goes about his work, but he's got highlights that are, I hate throwing it out there because people are going to jump to a conclusion, but the Isaiah Yeo ball playing, he's just a slightly mini Jesse Colquhoun at the moment, and I say mini, they're the same size. He's just a little bit younger. I mean, we're talking a guy who, again, was flag eligible, played a little bit of cup this year, was captain last year in the grand final. That week, I'm not going to bag the Jonas. They didn't put excess pressure on the players, but it's a lot to go to a 19-year-old kid. Hey, you're in a grand final. You've won 10 games in a row. How you doing? And the way McCulloch handled it made me think, with the fact he looks 25, that he was 25, and you should check his birth certificate. He's so far ahead of where it should be. His ball playing is brilliant, and the next entry we have, a lot of his tries came off Sam McCulloch short balls left and right. So definitely see first grade in his future. Maybe not next year, but when McInnes, if he does move on as expected, I think he and Colquhoun, you got your 13 rotation for the next however many years.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got it in him to play first grade. It's just a matter of how you get him there and how he gets there to that point and the circumstances. I probably wouldn't want to rush it, but he's also the sort of kid that, if you were down to your last guy available and you threw him in, he's not going to wilter or anything. Like, he's a tough local kid, and he's exciting to watch. And as you said, carries himself well off the field as well. Now, at number 4, speaking of cult figures, we've been watching this guy for a while. He's hard to miss, and that is Felix Fatili, the giant middle forward, dare I say prop. I believe he's still growing, which is kind of scary. And I think he would he be the biggest player at the club now in every grade or not? Is he big? Is he taller than Tuku, for example?
He's not as tall as Huge, but he's more the Hamanueli build, and he's just a big.
But he looks taller, right? Doesn't he look? Is he tall, or am I making that up?
No, he's definitely tall. For some reason, I've got Tukes as like 7'3" in my head.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm just going to see if I can find a height, but mate, he's
a monster. Yeah, he's a monster. And I think for a while there was, and he's still young, so when I say this, there was a bit of a worry about maybe excess weight and that kind of thing, but he's really handled the season well. He's been training with the first grade squad, as a bunch of these guys that we're talking about have for most of the year. And, when I'm down there hanging around like a bad smell, like I see him doing extras, and I see him also integrating with the first grade squad. And he's a guy that, with that body and that skill, if he plays his cards right, he could have a 15-year NRL career. And make of that what you will. He could just be, he could be a benchy for 17 years. He could be a starter. He could be an Australian player. I'm not sure. But he has the body. It's a bit like Tuku. Like, they have the body. You just got to get on with the rest of it. But he's sort of halfway there with that attribute.
Oh, absolutely, mate. And there was the one, I'll call it a knock on him, was he was just bigger than everyone. And I mean, when it comes to Jersey flag, he's too big. He won't play another minute in the Jersey flag, even if he's eligible next year. Don't think he is. He came up New South Wales Cup and, like, on his second touch, scored a try and bossed 3 full-grown men. This guy ain't just a big kid. Like, he's a big man who is a very good footballer. If he's still got growing to do, so help everyone else, because he
does, I think.
Giant.
Yeah.
And he's so quick, like, for a bloke of this size. Check out the highlights. Like, I know I'm begging, but go check out the highlights. If you don't get excited about this guy, rugby league isn't for you. Again, I hate making comparisons, but we had a big forward who ran similar lines at this exact age that scored a pretty important try in Shark history. Again, I don't want to compare one to the other, but it's got a feel about it.
Yeah, I would suggest that when people go watch this, and I know a whole bunch already have, but hopefully if you haven't, go watch it. And if there's one guy out of the 10 that I guarantee, or we guarantee will get you excited, will be Felix, just because he's a guy that there's not many in the NRL who do what he does, like the way that he does it. And that's because historically, I'm not going to throw names either out at you, but just think of big forwards with skillful hands and just knock out literally bodies. And that's who he kind of is and definitely could be. Like, he's that big and powerful.
It's a lot of fun to watch. He'll play New South Wales Cup this year. He'll probably start because we've said goodbye to a couple of players. Yeah, expect, excuse the pun, big things from Felix Fatili.
Yeah, and it is the sort of thing where, I've said this once before, I'll probably say it about all the guys, but you probably don't want to rush him in particular, because of the nature of that position. And we saw it with, Tom Hazelton. They sort of eased him in. It has a similar vibe to me. Like, pay your dues and get everything ready. And then when it's time, I think, limited time off the bench, and then just see how it goes as far as the pressure and the expectation and how he reacts to it. But there's no reason why after that he can't go on with it. It's all I'm of the opinion it's all up to him. And from what I've heard, he's got a good attitude and that kind of stuff. So the sky kind of is the limit for him, and I can't stress it enough because somewhat of the physical nature of this man. So exciting times. Now, probably my favorite on this list, Dan, is your number 3. And would you like to tell everyone who that is?
It's young Riley Pollard, who, for those that don't know, is from the Penrith system, which is always a tick this day and age. Super humble kid. Spoke to him very quickly via a mate. We're hoping to get an interview organised after holidays because you don't want to bother these players while they're off. Just super talent, great kid. I mean, they're the two things you look for when you're looking for prospects. I mean, he's flag eligible. Last year, he was our best player that dragged us to a grand final. This year, he again dragged us to a prelim, or 2 prelims, as is the way the finals fall in the flag competition. Stepped up, played New South Wales Cup, got called in 20 minutes early because there was an injury and a reshuffle, had to play hooker, had a try assist. Like, that's exactly what you want from a young kid. Hey, you're sitting there, cool, you got to go on cold, out of position, give us a try, and he does. Like, that was when I knew, here we go. Still got some growing to do. He's on the shorter side, but again, he's Reece Walsh's height, as with the player we'll talk about in a minute. So you don't have to be Matt Burton height to go far, especially in the halves. Played a lot for Newtown. Had a disrupted season because Caleb Rajab, the Jets' preferred 5'8", Newtown contracted, was in and out through injuries, and a lot of things happened in New South Wales Cup, and it's last minute. So you don't know how much, if any, training these guys have done together. He was playing halfback. He was playing 5'8". He'd go play flag for a week or two. Then he'd be in Fiji and he'd go to New Zealand. It was extremely difficult on a young halfback, but still, everything I saw this year from this kid, double thumbs up.
Yeah, he reminds me of a classic halfback, and I don't mean boring in any way. I just mean a classic halfback who can do it all. He's, from what I would say, he's less flash than flash, but he's got spark, he's got talent, and I just, it's kind of a compliment for me. If I tell someone you're a classic halfback, I mean that in a really positive way. And good club man. He's adapted well to the club in his years at the club, and popular figure, seems to have a good head on his shoulders, and signed to a long-term deal, which, tells you a lot, I think, about the future plans. And it's going to be interesting to watch him next year, how he goes, because I'm not convinced that Nephi is necessarily going to be next man up long term. And when I say that, I know he's under contract and everything, and I like him, and I think he had a great year just coming to the year just gone. Like, Nephi was really improved in all facets, including his defense. But I need to see it at the top grade. And he would be, significantly older than Riley Pollard?
Yeah, not to say Piru is old, but
no,
Pollard's so young.
Yes. I guess all I'm saying is if Pollard has a breakout year, the year after will be very interesting. And again, no shade on Nephi. I like what he does. And as I said, one of our most improved players in the whole system, which is what we need, because at the moment he kind of is next man up. So watch this space on that. The next two guys, 2 and 1, as you would imagine, are probably next off the rank of cabs to play for us, whether it be based on injury or maybe it's just form. So at number 2, already made his first grade debut. Unfortunately, suffered a shocking injury in preseason last year, which ruled him out. But he's back. He's training. Going to be ready to rock, I would imagine, round one, and that is Liam Eisen, our young fullback.
Super kid. We got robbed this year, honestly. Obviously Cade Dykes had his injury concerns. After Eisen, I think he played 7 minutes in the first game against Penrith in New South Wales Cup, and I texted you, said Eisen's just done his ACL, and neither of us could believe it, because I was very vocal that if Will Kennedy wasn't up to it, Eisen would be the man by magic round. That took it out. Kennedy had a brilliant season, re-signed for next year. I think next year, hopefully, we're going to see the year we should have seen this year, in that there is a genuine fullback shootout. I think Cronulla will go to market and try and attract a marquee fullback, or probably should moving forward. But what I've seen from Liam Eisen last year especially, again, he's another one who could have played Jersey Flag. He played New South Wales Cup towards the end of the year, and I said publicly, whatever we decided Eisen would play, whichever final, was what comp we'd win, and we went with New South Wales Cup, and they won it. He was fantastic in set up one of the greatest tries you'll ever see on the highlights in the state championship game. Was just breathtaking. Had about 300 metres 3 or 4 times. This guy's a Dylan Edwards clone in every single facet, except he's got a better hairline. So obviously a little bit younger, so we'll give him that, and I can certainly talk. But I'm excited what I see from this kid. But again, he's young. He's coming off an ACL. He had like 20 minutes tops last year. So it's either 7th or 17th minute he got injured in round one. So he's had a pre-season. He had that game where I thought he played really well against the Cowboys. Yep. Had the try assist on debut, and this was a kid that they plucked out of flag at the time. He was the only player who played first grade that we put on the list, but we had a 1-game cut-off, which is why Vela and Stone Street and stuff weren't considered. I think the sky is the limit with this kid, and they've re-signed him long-term too. So obviously they see it. I don't know whether he plays or not next year. It depends how he comes back from the ACL, how Kennedy goes. But in a perfect world, you want 2 blokes fighting for the one position, and I think we'll see that.
So back up on what you said about the Sharks potentially going to market for a fullback.
My way of thinking is Kennedy's got a 1-year deal, which says they're going to keep rolling 1-year deals. What we're hearing from the news, and I'm not going to say I've got any inside info, is that Sione Katoa and Jesse Ramin have been told we're probably not going to get contracts next year. Keep that in mind, because they're great servants of the club. You don't want them thrown under the bus. Not to say they want to leave next year, but I do think that if a good opportunity comes, I don't think the club can stand in their way, especially with Ramin. That frees up, plus Cam McInnes, Braden Hamlin-Nueli, and there's probably 2 or 3 others you look at and you say, we'll wait and see how we go. We worked out the other night, you're going to have about $1 million to $1.2 million. I think, with the greatest respects to Will Kennedy, I think Cronulla need just that little bit step up to win a premiership. You got $1.2 million. The only spot I think we need to improve is fullback. That's why I draw that conclusion.
So I wasn't thinking they keep Kennedy. I was thinking maybe Eisen is the guy.
In a perfect world, absolutely, because you want that money elsewhere. But I think they will keep that in mind, knowing that there's a little bit of fullback talent off contract, and I maintain that the Titans have 3 superstar fullbacks, none of which can play in the halves. I think if you go to them and say, hey, look, you need a centre in Ramin, we need a fullback in, I don't know, AJ Brimson, let's chat. But if Liam Eisen's our long-term fullback, I'm very happy, because the kid is a genius.
Well, I guess I'm just worried about the growth of Liam Eisen. I understand he's coming off the most serious injury you can have, but if he keeps being second fiddle, I don't think he sticks around.
No,
particularly if he's as good as what we think. So now, of course, they want to play it cautiously. The guy's leg imploded. I get it, but lots of guys' legs implode and they come back and they're kind of better than what they were. So. Yeah, so now it's an important part of his job is he's very quick. Now, I would imagine within a certain number of games, he might get back to where he was. I don't think after, obviously no doctor here, but I don't think after one ACL at that age, you're necessarily going to lose your speed. So I'm not worried about that. I like the fact that Will Kennedy's there, and I think that they have the shootout. I think Will had a really good year. I know he had a bit of a slump, but I thought he had a really good year.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the reason we didn't make a grand final. That's a whole other episode.
Okay.
However, the fact that they stalled so long on him, he got a reduced contract for 1 year. That's not endorsing really for him from the club. Now, it doesn't matter to Will because there's 2 other clubs coming in who will sign him for 3 times that amount of money. Like, he'll get a job. Will's career is safe as far as I can see. Maybe he has another lights out year and maybe the Sharks re-sign him. I got no idea what's going to happen with Will Kennedy. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch Liam Eisen because if he's as good as what we think he is, and we kind of believe that he is, and we believe he brings that style that we don't have and that people say we're missing, like, he's quick as lightning, he's tough as nails, he's good under the high ball, and he's good with his hands. That's the fullback everyone's screaming out for. I want to see what he's got, and I'm not necessarily saying chuck him in round 1. I'm a pretty big Will Kennedy guy, but at some point you got to make a decision. I think maybe the coaching staff don't believe that, but I mean, maybe it's a case of, as you maybe hinted, that Will starts and Liam's plays cup and we readdress it round 5, round 10, whatever. Like, that's realistic, obviously. And hopefully it's just an amazing shootout and they're both in amazing form. That's the best we can hope for. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. But he is signed for a while, so.
He is. And I'm very high on him. I make the fullback jump because I feel like Cronulla are in a tighter window and you add a star fullback. I won't go into the list because, as you said, that's another show altogether. But I think that's the difference to making a grand final. But in that said, there's a reason we have Liam Eisen at number 2, and it's because we really, really believe in this kid. It's hard to say what would happen if his ACL didn't go because Kennedy had such a good year. But I'm going to copy and paste what I said last year, is if Eisen plays the way I know he can, and I believe he will, and stays fit, round 10, we will have a discussion on our hands a little bit. Hopefully not before, because obviously the better Kennedy is, the better Cronulla are going to go. But I think Magic Round is where you start looking and say, how long can you keep this kid behind? And if he kicks on like he can, we don't need a fullback. Like, we can keep Hiroti 1 year deal or keep Taj Ford there as a reliable backup option. Eisen, all I heard was that he's too small. He's about 6 or 7 centimetres taller than Reece Walsh, right? Or 5. It's significant. Okay, he weighs a little bit less, but he's about 2 or 3 years younger, which means he has 2 or 3 years left to grow. Well, and we all know how Reece Walsh goes as a fullback.
I can tell you that I saw him as recent as maybe a month ago, and I had to double take with someone and say, is that who I think it is? And they're like, yep. And he'd bulked up.
Oh, that's delicious.
So I'm no good with size and measurement, but he looked like he'd put on significant kilograms. Nothing crazy, but he didn't look like how he looked earlier in the year or even when he played for us a year and a half ago, whatever.
That's what we want to see too. A player who goes off with a horror injury, and a lot of players can just take a year off. It sounds like he's done what Cade Dykes did and used it to put a lot of size on. Very happy to hear that because he's another one from the Penrith system. And when he left, he and Pollard were the 2. When Pura left, they're like, eh. When Pollard left, they were like, oh. When Eisen left, they were like, geez, Dylan Edwards better be the best fullback in the game. Now, some could argue he's right up there, but that's how high they held this kid in.
Yeah, I had the same mail from Penrith, from different Penrith people to you, and he was legitimately an understudy for Dylan Edwards. So if you go and watch Dan and Terry's video, but until you get there, use your imagination, and he's just. Would you say he's even is slightly smaller, or are they the same size? Maybe.
I think they're pretty close. Like, it's not a lot. But Edwards plays a lot bigger than he is.
Yeah, but so does Liam Eisen.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, again, I hate drawing comparisons. People are going to say, he's not Dylan Edwards.
But he actually plays like him because that's what he grew up like as an understudy. So it's okay. It's okay to mention that one, I think. Now, let's get to your number 1. And we know that he almost played this year, and there were different reasons why he didn't, mainly because he couldn't shake a few injuries because there was a spot for him at certain moments in the year, particularly about 3/4 of the way through the year, and he would have got the job, except the club were a bit worried about just, playing at the big time for 80 minutes after not stringing together a bunch of games at lower grade. So he was super close. Do you want to reveal who your number one prospect is?
I do. It's Michael Gabriel, so I reached out to 6 people, yourself, Terry, AJ, and there were a couple of Sharks fans that I know watch a lot of the junior grades, and one from the Penrith system who I know keeps an eye on a lot of the former players. Gabriel was 6 from 6. Like, he was the number one, 6 from 6. Like, this kid is magnificent. Left-sided player. So, of course, you're going to say, what about Kale Lero? I think both are young enough to spend an off-season on the right and make the shift if Ramian moves on, as we probably expect he might. He also played right wing for New South Wales under-20s Origin last year, was one of the best players on the park, so I'm definitely not worried about that. Yep. These are highlights you need to see. Like, we tried to keep the highlights to 2.5 minutes because we didn't want to talk forever. You're just repeating yourself. I had to cut it from like 4.5, 5 minutes down just on tries, line breaks, busts. It's ridiculous. He's probably the second quickest player in the comp behind Stone Street. He and Stone Street had the lethal left-hand combination. Unfortunately, Newtown's propensity is to go right because that's how they train at Newtown, so you didn't see it as often as you could. But just to show how good this kid is, we were playing the Roosters earlier in the New South Wales Cup. 22 minutes in or 25 minutes in, Gabriel went off with an injury. We were 24-0 up. He had 3 tries and a try assist, or 2 tries and 2 try assists. He went off. The Roosters just tore us to bits. Gabriel came on one leg, made a line break, and almost won it in the last couple of minutes. Like, it was easy to pick one game, but he had about 7 or 8 of those. He could still play Jersey Flag last year. They made a decision early on. No, we're going to go the Bronson Xerri route. We're going to play him early so he gets ready. I've never been surer of a prospect than I am of this kid, and that's Kale Lero and Sam Stone Street, Jesse Colleen included. And I think 2 of the 3 have done really well, and one's going to have a great season this year, if not already. Gabriel's just got everything. And don't forget, this is the kid we brought to the club when we let Connor Tracy go to the Bulldogs. And everyone was like, why are we letting Connor Tracy go? We've just signed a kid. I went back and had a look at the Bulldogs. They're blowing up then and they're blowing up now. And Connor Tracy's been fantastic for them. That shows the talent of this kid.
Yeah, even his highlights back when he was the Dogs, so whatever age, I mean, it would be a young age bracket then, and they're really good highlights. So we've seen a lot of good tries and try assists in our colours, and it's one of those things that for next year where we can assume that Fitzgibbon's going to keep a very similar team, right? Like, we can assume that. But I think Fitzgibbon's shown over time he's got a couple of surprises here or there. Like, maybe it's not round 1. I don't know. But you'd have to think that A, he's next man up in a variety of those positions, but B, out of all the guys, he probably is knocking on that door because they were going to play him last year and they chose not to. And I'm actually cool with that. Like, they made a choice and they're standing by it. And it didn't really affect us. I don't know what it would have done to him, but it didn't affect us as a team. But assuming he has a red hot off season, I mean, I think out of the 2 centers, obviously, for you and I to say, obviously, KL's locked in. I don't think Ramian is necessarily in danger of losing that spot round 1, but he's coming off an indifferent season, and there's rumours circulating about his future. Now, I've been told that it's I shouldn't say manager-driven. I've been told that it's not club-driven, so it's not their side of the equation, it's the other side. And you can, whether it's player, manager, whoever, that's where that speculation is coming from. But it doesn't mean that the club won't come around and go, well, let's talk or whatever. But I think Ramian starts. But yeah, Michael is a very, very good player. Like, forget prospect. Like, he's a good player.
Yeah, he is. He just, Cronulla last year had an 8.5 out of 10 season, right? We made a prelim.
Yeah.
We just lack speed. And I'm not saying our players are slow; they're just not lightning. Gabriel and Stone Street are lightning, fastest players in the club. Ronaldo's number 3. He's not going to be there for most of next year.
Yeah.
If they are looking for that bit of speed, and I think Gabriel's not going to be Ramian next year.
No.
But I think the next year, I think he will. And I think the next year he'll be better, and he'll be better and be better, which is how prospects work. But yeah, if he lines up round 1, mate, you're not getting any arguments from me. I knew he was close only because I'd heard that mentioned. He had that 6-week spell where he just couldn't get fit, and he'd come on and he'd play New South Wales Cup game, then he'd miss one, then he'd get one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Baylor on the other, he put 4 or 5 great games together. I mean, and he'd been banging on the door for 2 years. So no begrudge in there. Obviously if Ramian, I don't know, gets a flu or something, I wish him no harm, round 1 next year, he's not signed, but there's always the Hirotti's going to re-sign with Cronulla. You're going to go there. I think we're at a spot now where you got to go to Gabriel and you got to see what you got. And if it doesn't work out, put him back in New South Wales Cup and bring him back in 6 to 8 weeks. That's how Ronaldo had a pretty terrible debut and he turned out pretty okay. So I think an edge with him and Stone Street on it, which I'm looking at long term, is going to be so fast. And you add Iro, who's the most powerful centre in the game, and you add Ronaldo at full fitness, geez, we're going to see some highlight reel tries, mate.
It's interesting you mentioned Hirotti because assuming he's going to stick around, just assuming, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if someone comes along and offers him a 2-year deal for twice the money, which is twice of not much anyway for a footballer. But say he sticks around. What he did for us this year, I don't know if I think he starts the season, and I think young Michael is behind him as far as just getting tossed the jersey. But I don't think all year long that might be the case. But I have to repeat, Hirotti was really good for us in the centres.
But I blew up when we dropped him for Ramian to bring Ramian back. He didn't deserve to lose that spot. He'd been so good. But you got a guy on a 1-year deal, and now he's not even re-signed. I fully expect he will be.
Yeah,
but if South or the Bears came in and said, "Here's a 3-year deal," I wouldn't begrudge him at all. You got Gabriel signed long term, and he recently re-signed. They made a big deal of announcing that at the AGM. Yeah. This is a kid who hasn't played a minute of first grade, and I think probably 75% of the people there wouldn't have even known what he looked like. For them to say that at a big event like that shows we got something here.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I love the fact that we've got so much health in the centres because I sort of, after Sparkles and ET, there was a bit of a drought for me as far as great centres, particularly having 2, let alone a third one. I think even if you go back, I mean, I'm making this up. Hopefully I'm not wrong, but I'm thinking mid to late noughties into the early 2010s, and you got back rowers playing there, and just it wasn't what I'd come to know from. I thought everyone was going to be ET and McGaw, So to be where we are now, and have not only the established guys, 3 established guys, but having 3 to 4 young guys coming through who could play first grade, who've already played rep footy at the lower level. I think that's extremely healthy.
Yeah, it's magnificent to the setup of the club. So, I mean, there's a reason Penrith are so good. They've lost $6 million worth of talent, and then they lost, Talon Mayo, whatever his name is, and they're like, oh, what are we going to do after losing Stephen Crichton? And then you got Jesse McLean, who looks like a wall beater. That good clubs do that. The Bulldogs moved on Selwyn Cobbo and brought in, these young players. Dean Mariner, I know he's been around a while, but he came out of nowhere. It's all about that next man up, and Cronulla have got that. And for the last few years, you've kind of had that, but not really. But now we're so strong in all the grades. Even SG Ball, I think we missed finals in 1. I think it was Matt's, but it might be SG Ball now that I said that. Every other team made finals.
Yeah.
No one else in the competition did that. Not the Roosters, not the Storm. I know they're a little bit different to set up. Not the Bulldogs, etc. It's Penrith, like, because they don't have a women's team, or given. That's incredible. And to look and have 12 players that could have made this 10 easily. There was another 3 or 4 that we shortlisted because we couldn't find a spot for young Curran. It's only the fact that he missed half the year because of an injury. We couldn't find enough highlights to justify an entry.
Yeah.
He could have made this list. Dello could have made this list. The older Challenor could have made this list. That's insane. And that's only the players that we have seen, because obviously I don't go to train. I'm not watching the 14s right now.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, man.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of keeping that process going and keeping the signings and keeping them happy. And you can't keep everyone happy and you can't keep all the players, but they are doing a good job. And particularly in some of those strike positions, like, okay, hooker's a bit dry at the moment, but I'm sure there'll be guys coming through given the system. But then, as I said, center, it's like bursting at the seams. Middles all of a sudden look pretty good. Even the halves, a couple of young halves coming through. So doing a great job. And we want to, just let everyone know, go to Rugby League Outlaws YouTube page and you can see 16, 17 minutes of highlights, some nice overdubs of you and Dan talking, you and Terry, talking probably the most serious I've ever heard you talk. And and I've heard you talk a lot. And it's fantastic. So please, everyone, go check it out. And how you feeling about the upcoming season, Dan, at NRL level?
So good.
Yep.
I think the Ronaldo injury is awful. You can't spin that. But we got a straight shootout on the wings to see who partners Ronaldo. So there's a positive. You have to find from a negative. Jess Colquhoun's ingrained in the system now. Siva Talakai, it's playing his actual position. You got 3 or 4 middle forwards. I think Toby's the starter, but you got 3 or 4 that could start beside Fanua Blake. Coming into this year, I don't think any of that was true. So I think we've taken a huge step forward, despite exiting at the prelim. I'll be shocked if we're not there or thereabouts come the end of next year also. Pretty exciting times.
Yeah, it's great to see the majority of players getting better the more they play under the system, under the coach, and with the players. And even a guy like Will Kennedy, who's, debated every minute of every day by Sharks fans throughout. And it's, it's positive, negative, and in between. But no one can say that for a large part of the year, he didn't have his best season. Like, he was winning man of the match in like numerous games. And obviously Blake Brayley had a breakout year. And although he was already on top of 2 or 3 great seasons anyway, but he just went through the roof. So there's a lot to like. And there's not much that people can say to me where I don't agree with what you're saying and thinking that we're going to finish pretty high up, because I do think in the regular season next year, all being well with health, that I don't think they're going to muck it up like they did this year. Like, they mucked up that middle period, the origin period. They mucked it up so bad. And I don't see a Craig Fitzgibbon team doing that year on year. I think they kind of got the lesson. And I'm not saying they won't lose games, but I'd be surprised if they lose a game like the Canberra game. I'd be surprised if they can't nail some golden points. I'd be surprised if they lose to a team which has 8 NYC players or whatever in Gosford. You know what I mean? Like, it was just one of those years. It sucks. They should have done better. And you finish higher on that ladder. You're playing at home. You don't have a 6-day turnaround. Maybe things are different. I just think that we're in a really good place, and, they're going to have to play well to do that, but they've got all the attributes. And Ronaldo's missing. That sucks. Hopefully no one else is, but he'll be back. He'll be back mid-year, you'd think. I'm told McInnes, whatever you think of him and wherever you think he's going to be, I'm told he's going to be close to the early rounds, which is just crazy. So they're going to have a lot of competition, for spots, which is what you want. So exciting times. And anything else you want to plug while we got you, Dan?
No, mate. Just if you can, please head over to Rugby League Outlaws, chuck us a like, put a lot of effort in, which I don't claim to do a lot. I just talk off the cuff a lot, but this was a lot of research. And mate, thank you for your input. It was very good. It's good to get some other eyes, get past the biases and the agendas. But I just hope everyone enjoys their off season and gets ready for a good one next year, because it's going to be every bit good as this year and then some, I think.
I think you're right, my friend. Appreciate your time, and we will talk to you soon, no doubt. And everyone else, we'll talk to you probably sooner than you think. This is SharkCast Pod. Take care. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a follow, all that kind of business. Be kind to our sponsors, and more importantly, be kind to yourself and those around you. Why am I sounding like Oprah Winfrey all of a sudden? Dan, take care, my brother. Oh, I sound like Oprah again. Take care, Dan. Thank you for everything. I like Oprah Winfrey. I'm just sprouting now. See you later, guys. Bye.
Compliment for you. Thank you.